No, but yeah, I'm in the same boat. Tough angle.
You guys got to wear
You're
sport coats.
listening to
There it
Inside
is.
Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
And we're back. What's up, everyone? Paul Paslakis, Salvatore Guzmano, Brad Weisgerber. We are Inside Real Estate. Today we have a really exciting show. We've got Mark Z, one of the biggest names in Metro Detroit. If you're national, look him up. He's all over the place here in Metro Detroit. I do want to start by saying thanks to our audience. For anybody that's new, you can find us on Facebook at /IRE Podcast. You can also go to irepodcast.com. We are Facebook Live, and you can also see us in any podcast app that you might find, and we appreciate all the support. Today we're going to be talking to Mark Z. Mark Z, if you don't know him, this is who he is. How sick are you? Are you sick of hearing that, by the way?
Yeah, it's embedded in my head, my kid's head.
Yeah, dude. So we also had something very special that one a sales friend. He's a huge fan of yours. You've made it when you've got this happening. Ready?
Get the Z guarantee. Call Mark Z. Call 844. Sold by Z.
Wow.
Who is that?
One of my buddies just sent me that out of the blue. He didn't even know necessarily what it was, but the name stuck with him, right?
Yeah, he's obviously been practicing.
So there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. So obviously, Mark does a lot of really great marketing. There's a lot of things we want to talk about. I want to talk to Mark today about his switch from Keller Williams to EXP, which I think was poignant. It's something that was a big part of what happened recently with him. I do want to talk about his marketing, and first I want to start with how you got into the business and how you ended up where you are today in a 4-minute fashion.
Absolutely. Gosh, it's a hell of a story. I got into the business, honestly. I graduated from college, had big dreams and aspirations. I was supposed to be the doctor in the family, but I hated science.
As we all do.
Yeah. My parents gave me two alternatives. They said, you could be anything you want to be in life, either a doctor or a lawyer. Choose one.
That's what my mom said. She must be Arabic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I had.
Yep. Actually got accepted at law school. Backed out at the last minute. Thank God.
It was not your thing.
Yeah, I would not have survived.
No.
My wife's an attorney, and to see what she went through to actually get through it, it just wasn't for me.
Okay.
I was born and raised an entrepreneur. My dad owned a restaurant for 30 years.
So did my dad.
Yeah. Did he?
Good, yeah, good. Horrible life.
You guys are like brothers.
It's a horrible life.
Horrible life.
I did not want to. My dad owned 4 restaurants, and I was like, no way I'm doing that. I grew up in it.
Yeah, my dad told me, if you end up getting in the restaurant business, I will kill you.
Yeah.
It was not even an option.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I was dish dogging at the worst part was the restaurant was within a quarter mile of my house.
Yep.
So Saturday mornings, every time the phone rang at home, I was always scared it was him.
Dishwasher.
Yeah.
You didn't call in.
You must come now. We busy. Jump out of bed.
Yeah, we grew up together.
And I was supposed to be ready. I was supposed to wake up in the morning at 8 o'clock and just be ready for the call.
Yeah.
You never was, right?
Yeah.
And every time the phone rang, you're just scared it was him.
Yeah,
right?
dude, yeah.
And so, I'd have to run to the restaurant. Literally, it was within walking distance, which was the worst. So, but he was just like the Dunkin' Donuts commercial. He'd get up at 4 in the morning and work until, unlike your dad who had 4, my dad didn't know how to leverage. And,
my dad wasn't good at it either. He just got lucky. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, he felt like if he wasn't there, the restaurant would have shut down. So 4 in the morning, he used to go there to make the donuts and wouldn't leave till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So I never see my dad except when we come home from school, we'd go there to eat dinner.
Same thing. Yeah.
So that was where I got my work ethic from. That's all I knew. That's all I seen. What was that, 16 hours a day?
Yeah.
I don't even know how I was made. I mean, when was there time?
Christmas.
Christmas is actually, I always say Christmas is actually his only day off.
Yeah.
Never had a family vacation growing up.
Yeah.
So I seen him, and it was like he was in jail.
Yeah.
Basically. After about 20 years, he ended up closing the restaurant down at 6 p.m. I'd see him. He'd come home at 6.
Yeah.
So, growing up, they wanted me to get an education, and what they knew was, you go to school and you become something. Coincidentally, right next to the restaurant was a Century 21 office. So all those realtors used to go into the restaurant, and they'd actually borrow money from them. They didn't have money to even pay for their bills, so until their next commission check, they'd
your dad be flipping them money, right?
He'd be spotting their bill until the end of the month.
So why would you go into real estate? You see all these guys broke.
Can you imagine their face when I came home and said I'm going to be a realtor?
Yeah,
they started crying.
Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah. So graduated from college and got that $30,000 a year job. I was living at home. I thought, $600 a week was great.
Yeah.
I remember when I came home with that offer letter, my mom was crying. Mark, this is nothing.
How you gonna live, Mark?
Yeah. How you gonna pay your bills?
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, the only bill I have is a Corvette. I'm good.
Yeah, it's been fine. I live with you. You cook my food.
So I had this black Corvette living at home, and as long as I had enough money for to go to the bar,
That's it. That's all we cared about.
it was always a great feeling on Sunday morning when you wake up and you check your pants pockets and you still had $50 left.
It was awesome. Yeah,
I was good.
Rarely happened though. Yeah.
So I was waiting tables and bartending after college. Got a job, like I said, with a company called Advanced Communications Sales. They ended up going out of business closing down that whole Cat 5 technology thing.
Yeah.
Which doesn't say a lot about me being in the sales department.
It didn't work out. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I went to one of their competitors. That didn't work out, and there I was. I was jobless. Didn't know what the hell I was going to do. My parents didn't have money. My dad made like $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
We lived in a 1,000-square-foot
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Buying a business was he'd have to beg, borrow, and steal to get the money to buy a business. I remember I was going to buy a powerhouse gym at one time. It was like ready to close down.
Yeah. At one point, yeah.
I was looking for businesses that were failing, because they were cheap enough that I could buy them. But that didn't work out. So what are you going to get into? The only thing you can get into is real estate or mortgages. Both free.
Yeah.
So honestly, it was a flip of a coin. I didn't know which one I was going to get into.
Yeah.
Ended up getting into real estate, and I went to Coldwell Banker. I was there for about 3 years working buyers. I was still bartending and waiting tables during the day.
Yeah, you gotta supplement.
You got to have that paycheck.
Right.
And I was grinding buyers, working 70, 80 hours a week. If I wasn't at the restaurant bartending, waiting tables, I was doing open houses. I used to do open houses, so 4 a weekend. So 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
So you were hustling.
Wow. Hustling.
You're hustling.
So grinding buyers day in and day out, evenings, weekends, but it was no life, right? Ready to get married. Didn't know how
What year is this, by the way?
This is 2000. So I've been in 16 years now. So about 2003 through 2006. This is going on.
Awesome.
And I'm finding myself that I'm in the same rat race as my dad. I'm working 78 hours, and if I wasn't in the business,
it's not happening.
It's not happening. So it's basically a job.
Yeah.
I was making about $100,000 a year, or $150,000 a year the first 3 years. I mean, I was doing good.
Yeah.
But I'm working 80 hours a week, so I was really working. It always cracks me up when I've got people who friends and family who make $100,000 a year, but they're working 80 hours. That's really 2 jobs to me.
Yeah.
If you break that down.
You break it down by hour.
Yeah.
You're not really making as much.
And that's how I got to look at everything is what are you making an hour? Because that tells you what your time is worth. Right. And that's how I decide when I'm going to delegate something too.
Yeah, it's not worth your time at that point, right? Because
exactly.
I'm worth this much per hour. I'm not doing this because it makes sense for me to be doing something else.
Absolutely.
Right.
And even to this point in my career, that's always in the back of my mind. Can I get someone else to do that? If I make X amount an hour, I should be paying someone else to do that.
Right, like cutting grass.
Yeah.
Right, for instance, right? Like I don't have time to cut my grass.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, from picking up my dry cleaners to you name
you're
it.
more worth it doing this over here. I think a lot of people don't get that a lot of times is if you have the opportunity to pay it and it costs less than what you make per hour, just get it done.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So I get in the business, and I'm working these 80 hours a week until one day Coldwell Banker brings a guy named Mike Ferry to town, and he does this training seminar about how to get listings. I had no idea how to get listings because in the business there's 2 parts. There's a listing side, the buyer side.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The buyer side isn't as complicated as the listing side, meaning people aren't interviewing you, people aren't deciding whether to go with you or something. Usually, if you can go show them the house,
yeah,
you're
that's
out
it.
and running.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. And so newer agents always find the path of least resistance getting into the buyer side of the business. The listing side of the business, there's only a few in the industry. In fact, only maybe 2 or 3 in the state that have teams large enough where they carry, listing inventory of 100+ listings.
Yeah.
That's what constitutes, to me, a true team.
Right.
I mean, these days everybody calls themselves a team. You got 2 people, you're a team, right?
This is true. This is true.
It's very true.
So he did a seminar and had a coaching program where he taught you how to go out and get listings from strangers, other than your friends and family. Because until then, my only listings were friends and family.
Yeah, that's where you start. Yeah,
and you guys know when you guys do a loan for a friend or family, you're basically doing it for free.
Hey, bro, pretty much. Come on, bro. Come on. You really got to charge me that?
You're gonna make money on me?
Yeah, bro. We are for profit, brother. Right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So, they feel like they're doing you the favor. I mean, I could have listed with anybody.
bro,
I came to you. I'm trying to hook you up. So, I mean, every listing I was taking, I'm taking it like, half a percent, a percent,
Yeah.
So that's not really profitable. And so the buyer side of the business to me was just, made way more sense until Mike Ferry comes to town and he teaches you how to go out and get expired listings and for sale by owners, what to say, objection handlers. So I paid $1,000 a month. I didn't even have $1,000 a month at the time.
Right.
But, I told my wife, I said, listen, he's got a guarantee. It's a 6-month guarantee that if I don't make X amount, then he'll give me back the money. So I'm going to put it on a credit card, and then I'll sport it out for 6 months. If it doesn't work,
Yeah. We're good.
I'll
pay it off.
Yeah, I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to tell him it didn't work. I'm going to get my money back.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah. So I'm like, how can I lose? So I did it, and I used to go home, I remember, and we used to role play, me and my wife. You tell me the objection, and I practice the objection handler. It was like I was
You took it seriously.
Yeah, I was a true student of the game
Yeah.
until I memorized it. And I remember I went out on my first appointment, got the listing, nailed it, and you got to have that first win early on.
Yeah.
A lot of people in this business, I feel like, they get in, they get burnt out, they don't learn it quick enough, or they don't learn it at all.
Yeah.
They end up getting out because they don't see those early wins.
It takes a while to
It's
get going.
crazy. Think about how many sales guys we've met. How many people don't want to role play with their colleagues in the office?
Drives me crazy.
That are in the business, let alone go take it home and role play with their wife for work. It speaks volumes.
Even me, when I was young in the mortgage industry, I would call my friends and be like, "Hey, man, give me an objection."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I wanted to
The drive home.
be good. Yeah.
The drive home was
And to your
role
point,
playing.
like I remember when I first started at Quicken and I worked like 70, 80 hours or whatever, right?
Right.
And it was just like it was so hard to get one deal because I really didn't know what I was doing either. But, and I see these guys around me slamming 3, 4, 5 on the board a day.
Yep.
And I'm like, I got burnt out. I was like, dude, I'm out.
Yeah, but if you would
I
have
hate
stuck,
mortgages. I'm never doing it again.
Now you own a mortgage company.
Yeah.
Right.
Worked
But
out well
if you
for
stick through it, it's practice. It's being you gotta get. It doesn't just happen. Doesn't matter how good you are, no matter how talented you are. You have to work at it, regardless.
Hone your craft.
You always see those people who get lucky too, right? Sometimes you're like,
I don't believe in luck.
when you start with like a class, though, like at like Quicken or UWM, like everyone's real competitive within that class, and all of a sudden you see like one person who everyone was like, fuck that person, right? All of a sudden get like 10 deals, and you're like, they're lucky, but really they probably just
they grinded it out.
No, they grinded it out.
So so fast forward. So now you start getting lists. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, what's crazy, though, is when it comes down to the objections, there's only about 10 objections that we all get in any industry.
They're all
I don't
the
care if
same.
you're selling insurance, real estate,
I want
whatever.
to wait. I want to talk to my wife. Whatever it is, right?
Now's not the time.
Learn that. I mean, it sounds so simple. There's 10 objections. Learn the best answers. I mean, I used to write them out.
Yeah.
Like write them out like I was studying for a test until I memorized them.
Yeah.
And so when someone says, hey, my buddy's going to do it for 2%, I've got the best answer. So when I say it, their eyes just light up and they realize this guy's a pro.
Yeah.
Right.
And it always comes from a good place. As long as it's like true or not. It's like, dude, you really want to pay less, but you're not going to get all this, right?
Right.
You have to. You got to handle the objection by also providing value on top of it, right? Like, what's the value you're telling me, right?
You got to mean it. You got to believe in what you're doing, because if you're just, people can see that you're not authentic if you're just saying the line.
And
right?
the beauty about it all is you don't pay it until it sells.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
what's the worst, right? If I cost 3% and he costs 2%, but your bottom line is still where you want it to be.
Let me sell your house.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through that thing. You get.
I
Real
go
good
through that. I got confidence now, right? I know what to say when someone says this, and I know what to say when so you got to have confidence. Like you got to be able to believe that you can fly off that building.
Yeah.
Right. And so I believed, and then once you believe, you have no problem making the calls.
Right.
If you're in sales, you got to fill up that pipeline.
Yep.
Right. You just said, the guy got lucky. He put up 10. I mean, you might get lucky with a deal here or there. You turn over a rock and you end up finding a diamond. Fine.
Yeah, you don't get lucky every day.
You're not going to turn over 10 diamonds. You're
Right.
not gonna find
Right.
10 diamonds.
Right.
You've got to turn over a lot of rocks.
Yeah.
So I started getting on the phones. I was on the phones. I remember so my routine was it was heavy accountability. So it was all about, I was complacent at the time. You know, when I was making 100, 150, 200,000 a year. For me, living at the time I got married and, didn't have much bills. That was a lot of money. So complacency started kicking in.
You were comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah. Why do I need more? So I set up an accountability platform with a guy named Jim Arminiak. I don't even know if he's still in the business. I was searching for him the other day. Couldn't find him.
Jim, if you're out there, give us a call.
Yeah. So Jim was with me in the office, and what we did was I wrote him out 10 checks, and he wrote me out 10 checks. I wrote 10 checks to Jim Arminiak for $100 each. If you weren't in the office, the deal was by 7 a.m., the office clock was right above the receptionist desk. It didn't matter if it was snowing. It didn't matter if your mom died. You lose the $100.
It's $100, yeah.
If you weren't in by
I've heard of that before.
And for me, I don't even lose $5.
Yeah.
If I lose $5,
it's a bad day.
It's a job, right?
Yeah.
So whoever lost the 10 checks, the game was over.
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, this got me on a routine to be in the office by 7 a.m. We'd print off our expired listings at 7:30. Me and him would role play for a half hour. And then the law was at 8 o'clock you can start calling.
Yeah.
Me and Jeff Glover at the time were very competitive. Glover just got in the business maybe, I don't know, within a few months of when I got in the business.
Yeah.
So we're both calling expires at 8 o'clock. We're both racing the clock. He'd call at 7:57. I'd call 7:58. Just trying to beat it by a minute or two. Trying to get to it first. But that competition is what kept me sharp. Long story short, Jim lost his checks, but it took about 6 months for him to lose his checks. During those 6 months, I was on a routine. I was on a roll.
Yeah.
So from 8 o'clock until 11 o'clock every day, we were making calls.
Yeah.
But we got on this routine. Jim made a lot of money, even though he lost $1,000.
It was worth it. Yeah.
We stuck with this for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Continuing to make calls.
Is that Caldwell Banker, or were you at?
I'm still at Coldwell Banker these days.
Oh, yeah.
At that time.
Yeah.
So that got me in a routine.
Okay.
I was on the phone literally all day long. You get into this high, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you're chasing these calls, and you know what to say. And so I was not setting appointments all day. I was either on appointments or on the phone.
Yeah.
Right. Eventually, you start getting 20, 30, 40, 50 listings. Couldn't handle it. Had to hire an assistant. So hired a first assistant to handle all the paperwork for me. Then the buyer calls start coming in, right, from all the signs in the ground.
Yeah.
I don't want to go out and run with these buyers because now I just want to get listings. I'm just in the office all day. I don't have to drive around. Right. I don't have to work evenings.
Where were you getting the leads back then? Zillow doesn't exist, right?
It was RedX.
Oh, okay.
RedX back then for expired listings. Back then, we didn't buy leads.
Right.
There was no Zillow.
RedX.
Traffic came right to our website.
Yeah.
I was one of the first to have, it was a real estate webmaster's website, which was, organic traffic. So the leads we didn't have to buy leads back then.
Yeah.
That's a good life.
So, I'm setting appointments. I got an assistant and just rocking out the listings. The buyer calls are coming in. So I hire my first buyer's agent, Sandy Radin. Again, leveraging. I didn't want to work with buyers. I was laser focused. I just want to keep getting listings.
Right.
I bring Sandy Radin in. I tell her, listen, your job. At the time, there's no teams.
You're just creating this.
This is uncharted territory.
Yeah.
At the time, I'm watching on the board John Goodman. He was a big agent at the time in Northville, and he's putting up like 10 listings a month. And I remember talking to my wife saying, God, can you imagine
what it would be like?
Can you imagine John sitting at his kitchen table with his wife talking about how he brought in, $50,000, $100,000 this month?
Yeah.
It was all a dream at the time.
Yeah.
So I bring Sandy in and I tell her, listen, your job is I just want you to handle all the buyer calls. Sandy's a student of the game too. Blind faith.
Yeah.
I love blind faith. She came in. She just did exactly what I told her. Just take the buyer calls, run with the buyers. I'm going to keep getting listings. I just had this plan.
Follow my lead. Yeah, let's go. Let's run.
Yeah. So she did it, and from there, the team just grew. It was more leads than Sandy could handle, so we had to hire another buyer's agent and just started leveraging time.
Yeah. So now, fast forward, obviously, then you went over to Keller Williams because they started having the team model, right?
I actually got pushed out of Coldwell Banker.
You got pushed out?
I got pushed out. Yeah. Can you believe that?
Well, what happened there? That was a good move, Coldwell Banker.
Yeah. So at the time, a guy named husband and wife, Paul and Kathy Schweitzer. I owe a lot to them because they introduced Mike Ferry to me, right?
Yeah.
But a few years into the game, I had this weird last name, Zoeda, right?
Yeah.
People were like, they couldn't pronounce it, couldn't spell it. And so,
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I'm a Pasalakis. I get it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So people would call the office and they'd screw up the name and then end up getting transferred to another Mark. So my uncle came up with, why don't you go by Mark Z? Just shorten it to Mark Z. I'm like, I love it. I'm going to try it, right? Yeah, let's run with it. I'm that guy that just keeps throwing shit at the wall, right? Something's going to stick.
Fuck it, let's see what happens.
Yeah. So everyone thinks all the ideas are, wow, it's genius. I'm like, you don't know about the 99 other ideas that just sucked, right? You just see the one that made it.
Right.
So I go with Mark Z. The signs, I remember I came up with the first sign that had this big Z on it. At the time, that was also never happening. It was just the real estate signs with Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Remax.
They weren't flashy. It was you were like a second thought.
All these companies just brand themselves. They're smart. I mean, if I was a brokerage, I'd want to brand my name. Right. And Coldwell Banker was intimidated by this whole team thing that I was doing. Like, hey, are you starting a brokerage within our brokerage?
They didn't get it. Yeah, they were like freaked out by it. Right?
They were freaked out by it. They didn't like the fact that the Z was bigger than the Coldwell Banker.
Yeah.
And they actually came and I got some letter from corporate that said, you're going to have to shrink that Z down so it's smaller than Coldwell Banker. We don't like the fact that, these are our billboards out there and we want our name to be the prominent one.
Which I get, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Went back and forth, and Paul Schweitzer said it's coming down to you either having to change your signs or you're going to have to leave.
Yeah. You were like, peace out.
I left.
I'm keeping the signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked to Gary Keller at the time.
Directly?
Directly.
Wow.
This was 13 years ago. I mean, at the time, Keller Williams was small. I don't think there was 300-400 agents in Michigan. It's like EXP now.
Right.
That's what's funny is history's repeating itself. This was Keller Williams back then.
Yeah.
Called Gary. Gary was pro team at the time. He understood the concept, and he was all about agent growth and your success is our success. Totally different concept.
Yep.
You do whatever you want. If you grow, we grow. Yep. That was his concept.
Yeah.
So he was good with it. He was good with me building my brand.
Yeah.
So I switched over to Keller Williams, and life was great for 10, 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
For a long time.
In that, since we're there, let's go ahead and transition into the move to EXP, right? So Keller's great for teams, and I think you mentioned Glover. Glover's still there. He's got his team. He's doing his thing.
Absolutely.
What enticed you? Because here's the reality. Like people are like, "Oh, EXP, it's a pyramid scheme. It's bullshit. It doesn't work." You hear that a lot, right?
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah, for sure.
So why the move to EXP? That's a big move because at that time when you made the move, you had a really big team. You were doing some good numbers. So why the switch?
Honestly, the plan was never EXP. The plan was this building came up for sale a couple miles from Keller Williams. I knew that if I was to ever go out on my own, I would do my own brokerage but stay in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
This building comes up for sale. I buy it. So for a year in the making, I'm thinking I'm going to go out and do my own brokerage.
Yeah.
I even tell my team leader, Wendy, she was awesome. I told her, hey, this is my plan. I plan on doing my own thing.
Yeah.
She was cool. She's like, just let us know 30, 60 days before you go. We understand.
Yeah.
We tried negotiating a million different ways to try to, maybe make it a mega agent Keller Williams office.
Yeah. Just didn't work.
I just seen, I don't know how to say this without no disrespect intended. At the time, I was like, I don't see the value besides the name on the sign.
Yeah.
I own my own computers, just similar to what we were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
I own my own computers, my own staff, my own phone numbers, all the branding. I don't get any leads.
At some point, the value proposition.
You're running your own business and doing your own books without
having that.
The upside.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
The full upside.
Yeah, and I feel like, over the next few years, brokerages are going to have a very tough time depicting value to agents other than just, hey, you need a brokerage, so choose us.
Yeah, what's the value proposition, right?
Yeah, what's the value proposition? And who's doing the training at these brokerages? Most of them are people who have never been on the front lines, which is a problem.
Yeah.
So it came down to, even if you charge me $10,000 for the year, which is crazy to just pay Keller Williams $10,000, that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, not even $1,000. Like, there was no value in the name for me.
Yeah, it wouldn't
All of my business came because people were calling Mark Z.
Yeah.
Right? Keller Williams wasn't putting up billboards. Keller Williams wasn't putting up, our brand was actually bigger than the big box name in the area.
Yeah, for sure.
When did you decide to really go all in on branding yourself? Because, your brand, you've done a great job, right? You're everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, but when can you hold on to that question? Because I want to finish the EXP thing. We'll go back to that.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll get into the marketing.
Okay. So you're the boss here, right?
Yeah, I run the show. It's my show.
He likes to think
It's
so.
my show.
Only for this hour of the day.
Yeah, just this hour. This is the only time.
So it was all planned. I was going to go out on my own. Then some guys that I mastermind with, a lot of our ideas that I come up with are from guys across the country that, we mastermind. Hey, this work, that work, who do you use for this, that? They're like, check out EXP. You got to check out EXP. At the time, I'm like, I'm anti-brokerage. I'm not giving any brokerage any money. I'm not using their name.
What am I getting? Yeah, what am I doing?
Yeah, no way. I thought it was just another name because to me, all the brokerages, same thing, right? Just another name on the sign.
Correct.
Right.
I didn't realize that EXP was different. I watched the webinar. I couldn't sleep that night.
You're excited.
Tossing and turning.
I just realized this is the next industry disruptor. Like I've watched Amazon destroy the entire retail world. I watched Blockbuster Netflix destroy Blockbuster.
Yeah, there's always something else.
The whole travel industry got disrupted.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to disrupt the entire brokerage model. This is cloud-based. I seen my Keller Williams office. There was 300 agents there. I seen 15 show up every day.
Yeah.
So the concept, it just made sense. I showed it to my wife because she's an attorney. She redlines everything. She tells me all the reasons why things can't work.
Yeah. I don't like this word. I don't like that word. Yeah.
Right. Her answer to me was, Mark, let's think about this. If we go out on our own, how are you going to be able to compete against EXP? What are you going to say when your agents bring EXP to you and say, hey, I get stocks when I close my first deal. I get stock shares when I cap. I get my entire cap back. I get to buy stock at 20% off. I get revenue share every time I bring another agent. I get a percent of their commission. Like, how are you going to compete? Are you going to be able to do all those things? There's no way I could.
You didn't have that benefit package. You didn't have that.
I didn't have that. And I realized, hey, if I teamed up with them, that old cliche, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
If I team up with them, I could sell all that value proposition.
To your people, yeah.
To my
It'll
people.
help your growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a way to give back to my people, right? Now they have a retirement plan.
Because you're doing this anyways, why not add another benefit to it, right?
Exactly. And we're not doing anything more than just selling houses.
Right.
So, yeah, back to what you said about it being a pyramid scheme. To me, the ultimate pyramid schemes are companies where there is no revenue share, where one man is taking it all at the top, and everybody else is getting paid salaries.
Right.
Salespeople, get a piece of the commission.
Right.
That's a pyramid scheme to me.
Right. Like Ford.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot. Almost every company.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Century 21, Remax.
Yeah.
These guys, there's one man at the top.
Making a boatload of money.
Making a boatload, the franchise fee, they call it.
Yeah.
Making a boatload of money. And the salespeople all grow the company because realtors bring realtors. That's just how the company grows most of the time.
Yeah.
Every office manager is always hounding all the agents. Hey, who do you know? Introduce me to the co-op agent. It's realtors that are growing all of these companies.
Yeah.
They get nothing for it. So if one man's at the top taking it all, to me, that's the whole pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
In this model, we're not selling anything. You just sell what you normally sell, which is houses. But we're not selling no products. We're not selling makeup, shampoo. We're not selling anything. We're just saying, hey, everybody needs a brokerage to sell with. You got to have a brokerage, over you. So why not sell it with this brokerage?
That gives you all this stuff back.
Yeah. And just do what you normally do.
Yeah.
We're not out peddling makeup for, $50 that you can buy for $10 just so we can all make something behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, if you're going to sell houses and make more and have more value with Brokerage X, right? Like, why would you not go to Brokerage X over Brokerage Y, right?
Exactly. Doing nothing more. Just
even if someone's making money over you, what
cares?
Does it matter?
Why are you counting their money?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? Someone's going to be counting your money.
Can you count more of yours?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's definitely a different model. Now, being that it's
abundance minds.
Here's the thing, though. Being that it's cloud based, you made a decision to actually have an office, and you've got the Shark Tank, which I've seen, which is kind of just if anybody knows out there, you've got sharks.
Yeah, we got a 5,000-gallon Shark Tank. It's sweet. that was something that was on my bucket list. It's something I've always wanted my whole life, and got to check that off.
He legit has sharks.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How many sharks?
We got 2 black tips.
What do you guys feed them?
They feed them
bad
drawfish,
agents.
calamari,
Bad agents.
other fish. Yeah, bad agents. Yeah. Someone doesn't hit their goals. They're swimming with the sharks.
Go to the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So okay, let's go back to the marketing piece, man. So obviously, just so the audience out there understands, Mark is like everywhere. He's like on billboards. He's got the jingle. He's on every radio station. You can't. like everybody, like the kid, your friend was singing his song, like that's
Yeah.
When you get to a point where people are singing your song, I mean, that's really good marketing. Whether it's when people make fun, whatever it is, your people know who you are. So how did you get there? What did you decide? Like at what point were you like, you know what, I'm going to start investing in billboards and in marketing and this?
It's a stepping stone. It's not something you can do overnight.
It's like crack.
It is crack. It's addicting when you start seeing the results.
Start with a little bit and keep going.
Similar to what we were talking about before the show started about the podcast.
Yeah.
You guys said you started off with 30 visitors.
Yeah.
And then
Just grows and grows and grows and grows.
At first when you guys started this, you had a different intention. Now you guys actually love it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's about the show now, right?
Now it's about
at
the
first
show.
We're like, oh, how can we get?
We can talk to agents.
How can we get business? And now it's like I don't even like. Honestly, God, I don't care.
I
guess never calls me again. It was just awesome to have him on the show, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what changes the entire game is when you actually stop chasing the money.
Yeah.
And start focusing on the value that you're bringing, right? And you guys are having fun. You guys seen results,
yeah.
Right? And so that's what took you to. That's what keeps you guys going now. Is you guys are actually seeing the results.
Yeah.
You're seeing it grow.
It's
you're
like
having
working
fun
out.
with it.
Yeah, you feel good. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
So you started off. What did you start with? I'm just curious. Like, where did you start putting your money?
I started with what we just talked about with the Z on the sign.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Do
then
you have something to do with the Z Apartments?
Yeah, that's all his.
Yeah,
All
that's
those
all
are
his.
his. Yeah, I mean it's the same.
I always
Z,
see
bro.
it.
Yeah.
I was like, man, someone's like.
Yeah, so now you're into real
Did you
estate.
get the
We'll
idea
talk
from
some-
Zorro?
yeah.
It's a very good. Move.
Did you start Zorro?
I did not start Zorro, but
Yeah.
that's another brand.
Yeah.
So I see, when I put the Z on the signs, people started noticing the signs. But what they don't realize is it's not so much that they so it's a combination. I had the Z on the signs. People started driving by, seeing the Z on the signs. Well, everybody's got signs out there, but you drive by them and you just never notice them because they all look the same, right? It's the same Remax sign, same Coldwell Banker sign. Or people have their name on it, but it'll be like an inch big.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's going to notice that?
Right.
When you pass by the Z, you notice it. It's 12 inches, 14 inches big.
It's noticeable. Yeah, very noticeable.
So it's that in combination with you got to have a lot of signs out there, right? Just because you have one sign, it's not going to be noticeable. So when you have 100, 150 signs out in the ground, and it's something that's big and noticeable, those are your billboards.
Yeah.
And we're lucky enough in this industry where you get to put up billboards in front of every single person's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to me how so many agents just continue to use the company's signs.
Oh, they don't think marketing. A lot of agents don't think about marketing. A lot of businesses, agents aren't marketing like focused, right?
Right.
So then, did you go to billboards after that?
No, I went to radio.
Radio.
I think that was what the first mass marketing tool that I tried was radio. Got on board with Mike Valeni, 97.1 The Ticket.
Yeah.
Did a third party or an endorsement with him.
Yeah.
Had him endorse me. That's strong. When you get on the radio, it's one thing to get on and do your own commercials, but when you get on and you have a personality as big as Mike
Yeah.
Doing live
endorsing
reads
you,
and stuff.
Yeah.
it's like instant gratification.
Right.
That in combination with guaranteed sold or I'll buy it,
Yeah.
that just blew up.
Yeah. So tell the
That went
audience about
viral.
that. So what does that mean? How does that work?
It works just like it says. We guarantee. Now, there's two parts to that. Others have tried to do it. It's not believable, though, right? So you got to have a brand that's big enough that people actually believe that you're able to buy their house.
Yeah.
Right? If John Smith starts guaranteed sold or I'll buy it tomorrow, he's got to market it because nobody's going to know about it.
Right.
You can have the best value proposition ever, the best call to action. But if nobody knows about it,
Right.
what good is it?
Right.
Or John Smith better pull up in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Right.
So it works just like it sounds. We guarantee that we'll sell it within X amount of days, or we step up and buy it.
Yeah, that's what you put your money where your mouth is. And,
Yeah.
then obviously you've done this whole thing with your marketing where it's like now you've gone complete market saturation. You're kind of like everywhere. You're billboards, radio, digital. You're everywhere I look, I see Mark Z and everywhere. So that's really good. So now you're probably driving a lot of leads. So now you've got to create the infrastructure to kind of handle all that. So talk to me about kind of like the struggle of like the growth, because like, yeah, you can get all the leads in the world, but if you can't handle them properly, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got to have back office support, systems, tools, CRMs, tracking mechanisms. Because what good is a marketing if you don't know what's working and what's not?
Yeah.
That's also a big problem with growth. Is as you grow, too big, you can't track where the business is
So I was
coming
going to
from.
ask you about that. Yeah, how do you do that? So like, it's tough because of billboard, you got radio, you got all this stuff. So what's working, what's not working? How do you gauge that?
And people will tell you, funny, before we had billboards, people were saying, when we said, where do you hear about us? Oh, I seen your billboard. We never had a billboard at the time. Right, so people just perceive that they see you everywhere.
That's interesting.
But we're animals about asking them where we source it from.
So you're trying to get from the
I've got my agents on board with the fact that, listen, if you don't help me find out where these leads are coming from, I can't put more money into that marketing source. So I may be spending more on Zillow when I should be spending it on TV.
Right.
So you've got to help. So, people say, I heard on the radio. Great. What's your favorite radio station? Oh, I listen to 97.1.
So now you know they're from 97.1.
Yeah. So now, so we try to track every lead on, where it came from, so we know what's working and what's not.
You also made a decision to put yourself out there quite a bit, right? Like you're out there, you're out there, right? So how do you, because I kind of do a little bit of the same thing, and how do you manage that? Now, how, your kids are on your commercials, which are, they're cute, really cute. They work.
You only see 30 seconds of
Yeah,
them.
no, I know. I got 2 and 3-year-old. I totally get it. But so you're putting yourself out there. How do you manage that? How comfortable are you doing that? And you know what I mean? Like as far as that goes, how does that feel?
Yeah, that was a big decision. When we did the TV commercials, I actually started off doing the TV commercials just by myself.
Yeah,
and it didn't work.
Nobody cared. You're like,
nobody cares about you.
It was just another name. You can only beat on your chest so often.
Yeah.
So after a lot of research, I found kids and dogs is what sells.
Okay.
This country loves they love the little kids. Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah.
And then the dogs. Everybody loves their pets.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you get a dog?
You could do something to a human and get away with it. More than you can with a pet.
Sometimes, yeah. Try to smack a dog in front of someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I went with the kids. At the time, the kids were young, but they had fun with it. And because they had fun with it, we could continue doing it.
Yeah.
They love doing it. When we go out, they get recognized, and it's fun for them. So
that's awesome.
As long as they have fun doing it. I've got about a 5-year plan because once they're not cute anymore, I don't know.
Well, you got to get new kids. You got to have some new babies. That's it, right?
Trade them in.
We're trading you up, kid.
Yeah.
We're getting new kids. So now what, man? Okay, so you've built a really healthy business, right? You've got a good team. You've got great marketing. You're creating wealth for other people now, because I know, Zach's been on the show, and there's other people now doing well within your system, which I think is the next evolution of a leader. But now that you've got to this point where it's all kind of working, now we're not where do you go from here is the big question I have.
Yeah, so it's one thing to go out and do great for yourself, but then a true testament to see if your systems and tools and what you believe works is if you can get other people to follow in those footsteps.
Yeah.
Right. So as you grow the team, your team becomes your family, and so every team member that I bring on, I almost feel indebted to them and their family that they've got to succeed. If they don't succeed, I feel like I've failed them. So we take it personal, and my management staff, they know, the company, the team is run like a true Fortune 500 company. I mean, we've got management, we've got chief technology officer, we've got an admin manager, we've got listing manager, closing coordinator. So we have the infrastructure in place to continue growing. We use virtual assistants. We use a lot of automation where things just happen behind the scenes through our CRMs in order to handle the growth during the summer months versus the winter months, because it's seasonal in this business. But so the next chapter of my life is just continuing to build out other agents, having them grow, having them follow in the footsteps, and it's fun watching them. We got agents on the team that are going to close over 100 deals in a year.
Wow.
Zach's only been in the business. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
He started off on the phones. We had him on the phones. Sandy's been with me from day one, 13 years ago. She cracks 100 deals every year. We've got multiple agents that'll close and make 6 figures. So that's a healthy living.
How many deals are you guys going to close this year, do you think?
We're on pace to close probably close to 700 deals. We should hit 130, 140 million. It's going to be our best year ever. Every year, we try to pace up anywhere from 5 to 30%, just depending on what's going on with the market.
So speaking of the market, so obviously we always say, in our business, winter is coming. Right?
Yeah.
Survive the winter.
Winter's coming. Now, the last 2-3 years they've been they've been pretty good.
Yeah.
The winter hasn't been that bad. I mean, we actually saw good winners over the last 2-3 years. But the market's a little bit different. The economic situation's a little bit different this year. In your opinion, what do you see coming for this winter?
Interest rates just continue to go down, and as long as interest rates are down, we got an election year coming up. I don't see anything changing drastic. I think things are going to remain consistent. As long as rates are down, it's a great time to buy.
Yeah.
Anyone that's selling, prices are at all-time highs right now too. So all in all, whether you're buying or selling, it feels like it's a great time.
Yeah, it's a great. Yeah, I agree with that. The price of money makes a big difference, dude. You know what I mean? Like if you can borrow money at like
for sure
3.5%, 4%, that's cheap money. You know what I mean?
I just read something. Don't quote me, but it said I think it said that 1% less on an interest rate is the same as a house going down 12% in value.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Does that make sense?
Depending on the value of the house.
Every $50 or so is $10,000 in a.
So then that would make sense.
Right? So it's like, I mean, you got to look at it, and especially on like larger loan amounts, that interest difference could be $250. That's
absolutely.
Well, that's what I keep telling people that want to wait. They're like,
$50,000.
I'm going to wait. Well, if you wait and let's say rates go up, and if you get a $10,000 reduction on that house, it doesn't matter.
You're trading money. It's a bank, right?
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, and alternatively, if you do buy at a higher rate, like people did in January or December, right?
Yeah.
They've just all of a sudden, if staying in the home for X amount more years, right, built that much more equity without doing anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No question.
It's kind of insane.
Yep.
I think that, as long as, like you said, the rates stay low, the opportunistic movers will move, right?
Yeah.
But most people move out of necessity anyways. So they're going to do that if rates are 7 or they're 3.
Yep. You know what? I'll be honest, guys. I don't care.
Yeah.
I feel like this industry is recession-proof. It's all in your head. Yeah. I made the most amount of money, believe it or not, back in 07, 08, 09.
Yeah.
When everybody was getting out of the business and things were crashing, people are still always buying and selling. If they're selling and moving out of state.
90% of movers probably move because of necessity. 10% might say, oh,
absolutely,
it's a good time. I'm thinking about selling and grabbing that equity.
Rates are low. I want to go buy a new house.
Yeah.
It's all mindset. So back when the economy crashed in 07, 08, every realtor was getting out of the business. Nobody could sell homes.
Yeah.
When you could sell a home, you were a hero.
Right.
Right now is actually harder for us because it's harder to show that value proposition.
Yeah.
Right? Because anybody can go out and sell a house. Anybody can go out and find a house. So it's hard to...
There's a million agents.
Exactly. So I don't want to sound cynical, like I'm waiting for the market to crash, but it wouldn't affect us negatively either way.
Right?
We always say this. I mean, sometimes we're like, I want rates to go up because we want to shake out all the fat. You know what I mean?
It's
is
like crazy. Like in my head, I'm like, when I keep seeing the bond go down, I don't like it. Because it's making my business more focused on refinances as opposed to purchase.
Yeah,
right?
purchase is where we're at. Yeah,
and that's what grows the business.
Yeah,
absolutely. So the next chapter, I mean, to keep going on what you're saying, the next chapter is just to keep watching this agent growth. We're bringing things to the market that I don't feel any other brokerage can compete with, quite frankly. For example, you just brought up Zach Jones. We just put Zach Jones up on a billboard for a week because he won a contest. I mean, what brokerages? We're empowering our agents. We're spotlighting our agents. We're bringing value to the agents. I just said, early in the conversation that brokerages are going to have a hard time giving out value to agents. You know, just saying we're going to train you and we're going to give you you got this desk and here's a phone. That's not good enough in today's world.
Not anymore, man.
You've got to bring a lot of value, and same with the industry itself. I don't feel like there's going to even be realtors in 5 or 10 years unless you're bringing a lot of value to the consumer. So to put your agents up on billboards, to spotlight them on social media nonstop. It's going to be hard for our agents to ever leave us and go somewhere else. They'd feel like they were downgrading.
Yeah.
So you just got to bring a lot of value, whether it's mortgages, because technology it's squeezing everybody that isn't bringing value to the world.
Oh yeah. You got.
I always say, money is just a measurement of the value that you bring.
It's all value based. If you bring value, you will always be okay. That's why no matter what. I mean, even though you've got like Travelocity and all these, but I still use a travel agent because they bring me a lot of value. They handle my stuff.
Right.
But there's very few of them. But the ones that do it well survived and are really flourishing now. Right?
If you were going to Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you want a travel agent that's going to guide you, tell you where to stay, what restaurants, right?
Yeah, bro.
I don't want to go on the internet.
Amount of money.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you might save a little and have a bad time.
But it's like a different, look, I think I paid, I looked at it, right? I paid an extra, I went to Greece this summer. I think
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to go.
It's amazing. So, but like.
Mykonos?
I met my wife in Mykonos, actually.
Oh.
So I'll tell you that after off there.
That's a funny story.
So anyways, my whole point is they handled everything. Dude, we had a delay. I was on the phone with them. They had us all handled. They took care of all of it. So I'm just saying, I guess again, that's value, right? People, if there's value there, people will use it. So that's big that you focus on that. So now what? Are you growing your team? How many people do you have on your team? Do you want more?
Yeah, we're around 35. I think 35, 40 people.
Yeah.
I can't stop the growth now. With everything we're doing, people knock on the door every week that want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Not everybody's the right fit. We spend a lot of money on leads. We spend.
What is your spend a month on? I'm just curious, man.
You know what?
Overall marketing. Overall marketing.
I just got. I was sitting with. We have a management meeting every Tuesday, and I was sitting with them yesterday, and I got a text from my controller, my accountant, and she said, "You got to push $43,000 to the credit card. We can't put anything else on it." $43,000 was because the credit card bill was $143,000. I had to get it down to $100,000 so we could give it. So our spend is
that Amex is melting.
Yeah. So right now, the first $150,000, $160,000 that comes in commissions goes to pay for the marketing.
Yeah, that's wild. That's it's like close to $2 million a year.
Almost $2 million a year, right? But you got to spend money to make money.
Yeah. Again, if there's value there, you do it.
Yeah. But we got to just keep a very close eye on, because when you're spending $150,000 a month, when you come up to those winter months,
it's lean.
You can't float too long if it's not coming in. It's not fun pulling out $100,000 out of your personal account because the business couldn't pay for it.
Yeah, our controller's sitting right here. I always try to spend money. It's like, dude, chill out.
It's not there.
Yeah.
Right. And in reality, like, you can really only forecast like 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, in our business, it's tough to tell what's going to happen all the time. You know what I mean?
We would have never thought rates would be this low back in December.
No, I mean, all I've heard for the last 3 years are rates
are going up.
That's what we're telling our clients. Rates are going up. Rates are going up.
And now the big talk is, there's a second rate cut, right?
There's another one coming.
And now, you got all these people. It's like, dude, you could save 1 point in interest right now, $250 a month. I think there's another rate cut coming.
All right.
And what if it doesn't?
Yeah. So I was talking to my banker the other day about a refinance on one of my apartment buildings, and he told me that we don't care what happens with rates. We're not going below this rate.
The private money is not going down.
Totally
so they told me, we don't care what happens with the Treasury. Just know we're not going below this. We don't care what happens. We can't.
Private money is totally different. Private money, commercial, jumbos. These companies, they're not moving like
it's getting silly, right?
It is. It's getting crazy. So we do this thing called 3 questions. We're running out of time, so I want to get to it. So first question for you, Mark. It goes fast. I told you. It's fast.
Flies.
I didn't get to tell you my story yet.
Is there more? Is there more?
You have to come back on.
We'll get you back on. We'll do a part 2. First question: what scares Mark Z?
What scares Mark Z? What did scare Mark Z until the past couple weeks was letting the world in on my personal life. Yeah. I wasn't big on social media.
Yeah.
It's probably the weakest part of my business. But if you start checking out the social media in the last 3 weeks, you'll see that something totally changed. So you got to practice what you preach. I always tell people to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I'm getting out of my comfort zone, and I'm letting the world into my personal life. And,
all right.
Going to blow it up on social media.
So everybody follow Mark Z on Twitter.
Instagram. @sold by Mark Z.
There you go. Second question. If you could be one animal in the animal kingdom, what would it be and why?
A shark. Come on.
Yeah, you guys. That's
top of the food chain.
It's so easy.
That might be the quickest response.
Yeah, that was a pretty quick. I mean, he had sharks, dude.
Some people are like, a lemur?
He never really answered the first question, though. You said that up until a couple of weeks ago that scared you. So what scares you now?
Oh.
Good question. Gosh, I'm not big on jumping from planes,
heights.
Heights.
Roller
coasters. I have no desire to be scared, so I avoid everything that could possibly.
That's a good answer.
Everything scares me.
That's a good answer. And I like this one. I think this will be a good one for you. If you could spend 1 week in somebody else's body, who would it be and why?
Anybody, dead, living.
Gosh, yeah, great question. Man, you know what? I'm very comfortable, and if I were to die tomorrow, I honestly say that I live every day to the fullest. I'm great in my own body. I never wish or desire. Thank God, I've never wished or desired to be anyone else. I'm good with the way it is. But to answer your question about what scares me, and now I know what it is. It's being broke.
Yeah,
being broke.
There it is.
Honestly, because once you reach a certain lifestyle and you have certain things, you've always got that fear of going backwards.
Because your monthly nut is up.
Yeah,
up there. Yeah, for sure.
So besides envy, because you want to be that person, just out of like curiosity, intellectual curiosity, experience to be in someone else's body for a week.
Just to learn what they know.
Not because you're jealous of them, just to have a different perspective or experience.
Yeah. Gosh.
Like I might do Jesus for a week.
Yeah.
Back then, just see what it was like.
Yeah.
Or like,
I'd have to give it some thought.
Stumped you?
You caught me off guard. You stumped Mark Z. Yeah.
All right, on our next follow-up episode, you're gonna have to answer that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about who I'd want to be.
Mark, tell the audience how they can get a hold. I mean, obviously you're everywhere, but you.
All right, I know who I'd want to be.
Oh,
I got
it. Okay, you got it. Okay.
It's a childhood mentor growing up, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan?
That'd be badass.
Yeah, watching that guy,
brother.
Yeah, I felt like he had the
What
world
you gonna
by
do?
That's a good one.
You know?
Do you remember his? He'd always tell you to take your vitamins.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to, take your vitamins, say your prayers.
Yeah, brother.
Hey, let me tell you something, brother.
That's when wrestling was cool.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's cool anymore.
And that song, speaking of jingles, again, that song, I want to be a real American.
Yeah.
I want to
Be a real.
Yeah,
when you walk
that's
out
in my head, right?
Yeah,
Still.
yeah. So you still remember that?
Yeah.
That's marketing.
Yeah,
That's all. That's marketing.
Oh, Hulkamania. I mean, that's
All of it
that
was
made
marketing.
Hulkamaniacs.
WWF. Hulkamania.
What you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's interesting when you have a marketing brain, like you remember these things and you realize afterwards that it's marketing.
Absolutely. And as you're starting to create a brand, you just you have to be conscious. It's got to be everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so that's we finally got to that point where we can be on the billboards, TVs, right? Because in today's society, you guys have noticed it's changing. People aren't watching TV like they used to, right?
It's digital.
They've got digital and Hulu and Roku and all those things. Some people don't listen to the radio; they listen to
Spotify, whatever. Yeah,
that too, right? So you might not hit them on TV, you might not hit them on radio. Everybody's driving.
You'll hit them there.
You're going to hit them
on the phone.
You're going to hit them on if they're driving. You're going to hit them on the billboards.
Yeah.
If not that, you're going to hit the younger crowd. A lot of them on social media.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by we try to be like the armed services
everywhere,
air, land, sea. I don't care where they're at. We're going to hit them. We're going to be there.
At what point do cell phone companies start selling ads to unlock your phone? Where you unlock your phone, you get a 5-second ad.
Jesus
wow,
Christ.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, they probably haven't thought about that.
I mean,
it's coming.
Right.
Why wouldn't
they?
Not?
Can we edit that out?
No.
I mean, that's a moneymaker.
Mark, thank you for doing our show, man. I know obviously you took time out of your life to come down to this little show to do some talking with us, so I appreciate it. You're a stand-up guy. If anybody wants to reach out to him, obviously you can Google him. He's everywhere. Congratulations on all your success, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Really
I appreciate it.
All right, guys, that's our show. That was interesting.
Fast.
Wow.
Jessica, thank you for everything. Yeah, you did a lot today. You're back there like pushing a lot of buttons today. I don't know what's
pushing a
happening.
lot of buttons today.
Yeah. All right. We love you, Jessica. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you. Wow, that was fast.
It goes fast, bro. Jeez. I told